What's going on, fellas? So today we're going to take a look at a few players who were involved in some really serious college scandals. These were serious enough to the point where the NCAA had to vacate a couple of the college's seasons. And without further ado, let's begin. At 5, John Hot Rod Williams. For those who never heard of him, I'll give you guys some background info. Williams had a good NBA career, playing 13 seasons from 1986 to 1999. He was most known for being a key player for the Cavaliers, helping them reach the playoffs 7 times in 9 years, and he finished his career with averages of 11 points and 7 rebounds per game. As for his college scandal, it happened in 1985 when Williams was attending Tulane University. He was accused of being the ringleader of a point-shaving scheme that eventually saw the president of Tulane University dropping their basketball program for severely violating the NCAA's rules. Point shaving is basically where players or referees intentionally try to change the point spread to favor certain bets. Apparently, Williams was arrested and indicted for 2 counts of sports bribery and 3 counts of conspiracy. He was accused of accepting over $8,000 for manipulating the point spreads for several games, and that was a lot of money back then. This all happened before Williams was even drafted to the NBA. If he was found guilty, his image would be ruined forever and he'd probably be in jail. But fortunately for him, he was found not guilty of all 5 counts and he ended up having a long NBA career. However, following the incident, the Tulane University basketball program was disbanded for 5 years, and then finally started up again in 1990. At number 4, Derrick Rose. I'm sure most of you have already heard of this case. Shortly after Kansas defeated Memphis in the 2008 National Championship game, the NCAA sent a letter to Memphis, telling them that they found out that Rose had an invalid SAT score when he was in high school. Therefore, he should not have been eligible to play in college. And they also accused Memphis of knowing Rose did this, but they let him play anyway. However, the athletic director of Memphis denied this. He claimed that the team did not know that Rose was ineligible to play college basketball, or else they would not have played him. Further investigation revealed that Rose failed the ACT 3 times in his hometown of Chicago, but then somehow registered a passing SAT score in an exam that he took in Detroit. Apparently, it's been speculated that someone else took Rose's SAT exam for him and got a passing score under his name. Additionally, there were allegations in high school that Rose had one of his grades changed from a D to a C. Basically, what I'm getting from all of this is that Rose was not the smartest guy in school and he needed a lot of help to get into college. At the end of the investigation, the NCAA vacated Memphis's entire 2007 to 2008 season because of Rose's invalid SAT score. At number 3 and number 2, Ralph Beard and Alex Groza. The University of Kentucky that we know today has one of the best basketball programs in the nation. And although the program doesn't have the cleanest image, we see plenty of talented NBA players today who went there. Back in the 1950s, the NBA was just getting started and we saw one of the first instances of players getting punished for point shaving. 2 NBA players at the time, Ralph Beard and Alex Groza, were accused of participating in a point shaving scandal when they played at Kentucky. The scandals around this time were also widespread amongst other colleges too, but Beard and Groza were the most notable players involved. They won the 1948 and 1949 NCAA titles with Kentucky, and they were both consensus first-team All-Americans. They were also 1948 Olympic gold medalists and NBA All-Stars, so these guys seemed like a pretty big deal back then. Especially Groza, who averaged over 20 points and 10 rebounds per game in 2 seasons, while making the All-NBA first team in both of his years. When Groza and Beard were young NBA stars in 1951, they both admitted to point shaving at Kentucky and ultimately became the first 2 players in history to be banned from the NBA for the rest of their lives. And number 1, Chris Webber. Webber was actually just a small part of this huge scandal between the University of Michigan and Ed Martin, a notorious gambler and team booster who loaned tons of money to college athletes, hoping he'd get a bigger return from them once they go pro. I don't want to get into this whole incident too much since there's a ton of information out there already, so I put some sources in the description if anyone wants to read more about this topic. But I'm gonna give you guys some details about Webber's involvement in this whole thing. In 2002, when Webber was an established superstar with the Sacramento Kings, he was charged with multiple accounts of the obstruction of justice and lying to a federal grand jury about his relationship with Ed Martin. Webber denied that Martin gave him any gifts or loaned him any money during his college career in the early 1990s. but the FBI found evidence that he did. For each charge, Webber could potentially face 5 years in prison. And don't forget, this incident surfaced in 2002, around the time the Kings were contending for a title. So Webber going to jail is gonna make it pretty hard to do that. During his college career, he also had an incident where he called a timeout when his team had no timeouts left, which resulted in Michigan losing the NCAA championship game. This probably wasn't related to the whole Ed Martin scandal, but I just thought I'd mention it. It was one of the most memorable moments in college basketball history. As for the actual case, Webber pled guilty and ended up serving over 300 hours of community service. Michigan had 6 of their seasons vacated, and Martin ended up passing away in 2003. When asked about his relationship with him, Webber stated that he was a man who preyed on the innocence of young kids, and later on he wanted to cash in on all that love and support that he thought was free. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.